It is indeed great honor and a deep sense of purpose that I welcome you all to this important launching of the Cost of Politics report from a gender perspective, a study that was commissioned by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy and conducted by CEPRAS. This gathering is not merely an event on our calendar. It is a statement of our shared commitment to justice and inclusion of those whose voices are not often heard in our society, and is funded by the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. It is geared towards examining how the cost of politics in the Gambia undermines or determines who can meaningfully participate in public life. Despite notable progress in multi-party competition since 2017, women, youth, and people living with disabilities remain starkly underrepresented in elected leadership. Women constitute 57% of registered voters and form more than half of the population, yet hold only 5 of the 58 National Assembly seats, highlighting the continuing gender and structural inequalities embedded in the country's political landscape. As we gear up to the 2026-2027 electoral cycle, it is prudent to explore the opportunities of women's inclusion in the electoral processes as well as leadership in the Gambia. Among the many challenges that women face in fully participating and taking up positions in political leadership, they are also underrepresented, and that form the basis of the work that WFD, Strengthening Democracy Worldwide, is, with the expectation of everyone participating and be represented equally in the democratic process and take up leadership positions regardless of sex, religion, and disabilities. Noting the deficiencies in our political institutions and political decisions, which are male-dominated, WFD, with support from the British government, conducted this study to investigate what costs are associated with politics in the Gambia and how much do political representation cost to individuals, especially women. The team that were tasked to conduct the research in order to investigate formal costs such as nomination, deposits, campaign materials, transportation, and media exposure, informal obligations including community contributions, party levies, and social giving, and less visible burdens such as emotional stress, lost income, and the ongoing cost of maintaining a political career. Together, these findings provide a comprehensive picture of how financial and non-financial barriers intersect to shape who can afford to lead and participate. The findings that you will find in this research reveals that entering and sustaining a political career in the Gambia is financially demanding throughout the entire political cycle, from pre-nomination to post-elections. At the pre-nomination stage, aspirants often pay membership dues, loyalty contributions, or provide gifts to party executives to gain recognition or endorsement. It is interesting to know that the study revealed interesting findings that are hidden, and aspiring candidates are expected to fulfill to enter and be in the election race from presidential, parliamentary, local council, and in community structures. And I will quote from the report findings. During campaigns, and this was a testimony that was given by one of the respondents, And she said, during campaigns, the financial burden rises sharply. Expenditures on posters, rallies, media publicity, logistics and transportation, and entertainment often reach between 300,000 to 500,000 for serious contenders. Candidates without sponsors or access to party resources must frequently self-finance these costs, sometimes selling assets or borrowing from informal lenders. Social and community obligations such as attending funerals, weddings, naming ceremonies, and religious gatherings impose additional costs that can total between 200,000 to 400,000 per election cycle. These social expectations are not optional. They are embedded in Gambian political culture, where generosity and visibility are perceived as indicators of leadership. Considering the low earnings of average working Gambians, this cost rises as elections reaches its climax, and more so with the current rise of election deposits and fees recently passed by the National Assembly. This cost does not only undermine democracy, but contribute to the layers of exclusion, discrimination, and structural inequalities. Following the fall of dictatorship in 2016, the Gambia began a journey toward democratic renewal. While many legal and institutional reforms were initiated, from the transitional justice mechanisms to constitutional and security sector reforms, one truth has remained clear: we cannot achieve genuine democracy without gender justice, and that gender justice must extend to everyone living in the society and the country at large, including women and people living with disabilities, whose daily realities are shaped by layers of exclusion, discrimination, and structural inequalities. It is in this spirit that the idea of this study was assigned to consult political parties and other stakeholders to build on the gains of the legislation such as the Women's Act, the Disability Act, and other legal frameworks, that women are not only empowered, but given the opportunity to also be gatekeepers for representation and contribute effectively to decision-making at ease and confidentially, and not long-standing depth and trauma after elections are gone, whether you are elected or not elected. Let us all be honest with ourselves as a country that despite progress, the numbers of women in positions of leadership are dwindling. Despite the fact that women make up the majority of our voters and are surrounded with the many barriers that impede their advancement. So on behalf of WFD, I hope that the study will go a long way in addressing the financial cost of politics and open doors for the many aspiring women candidates. Political parties, institutions, advocates, and our he-for-shes who are here today, and the government and development partners will work to ensure that the recommendations are taken on board to remedy the situation of low representation of women in our governance structures. I hope we will leave this hall as political leaders, energized and eager to change the narrative and context. We have options as far as the report reveals. We at WFD are proud to have worked hand in hand with the Gender Ministry, the Inter-Party Committee, the Select Committee on Gender at the National Assembly, politicians, women candidates, local government authorities, women-led organizations, media, and academia to bring this study to life. We are especially grateful to the British High Commission for their support and to every person who believes in the vision of a Gambia where every woman and girl and person living with disabilities can thrive. Let me conclude by echoing the words of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Gender equality is not just a matter of fairness. It is a matter of power. And the time to act is now. We have a responsibility not just to read and reflect on the findings of the study, but to act, live it, breathe it, and advocate for the full realization of the recommendations. The road to equality is long, but today, let us take an other bold step together. On behalf of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, I extend our gratitude to the team of consultants and to all of you, and particularly the respondents from the different political parties and the honorable members of the National Assembly and the National Assembly Service, and also the especially the Select Committee on Gender, and all women leaders and the media for your unwavering dedication. I also thank the British High Commission for their steadfast support and every partner who have walked this journey with us. Let us use today to deepen our understanding and spark bold advocacy and move towards the equal representation and increase the numbers of women in leadership and political decisions. Together we can ensure that this study becomes more than a paper. It becomes a promise fulfilled. Thank you very much.